Yo, what's up, people? It's your boy. I'm Chris the Don One, and I am back with another video. Okay, I'm gonna tighten this up. All right, let me put the sunroof up, and we're gonna wrap. Okay, I'm gonna be driving while we're rapping. Rate, comment, subscribe. You know what you got to do. Notification gang in the building. Hit that notification icon, that notification bell, so it'll let you know when my next live stream or video is going down. All right, third live stream. Okay, we're going to and by the way, I didn't notify anybody that I was doing this live stream, so if nobody shows up, I know a lot of you cats, y'all normally catch my the replay, the re-air of this particular live stream. Okay, now we're gonna rap about it. We're gonna be talking about Blake Griffin. That's still too light. Blake Griffin and Chris Paul opting out and becoming free agents. What's my overall opinion about this? Okay, here's the bottom line. Okay, here's the bottom line on this. As we know, Blake Griffin and Chris Paul, they opted out, and there's rumors and speculations out there that seem to suggest, okay, let me switch this route, that seems to suggest, and yes, that seems to suggest that Chris Paul has interest with the San Antonio Spurs, and the San Antonio Spurs likewise. But when you look at Chris Paul's deal, the most he can make with the San Antonio Spurs is 150 plus, well, 150. Okay, now the Clippers can offer Chris Paul more. Okay, that's when the pot kind of, you know, gets interesting. The Clippers can pretty much pay Chris Paul $200 million. Okay, so Chris Paul, he's not going to lose that money at an additional $50 million, which some may say it's just only $50 million, Chris. Why would he just take less money and go to the Spurs? And I've said in recent videos, after the Spurs signed Chris Paul, then what? Okay, that's still not enough to overtake and overthrow the Golden State Warriors. So you're going to have to do much more than just Chris Paul. So the likelihood of this is he's going to re-sign and re-up with the Clippers. Okay, now the Clippers have been doing a lot of moving and shaking in the offseason, hiring Jerry West. I think that's a plus. Okay, I think that's a huge plus for Clipper fans as well as the Clipper organization, because Jerry West, he's the mastermind behind the Golden State Warriors. Okay, and he was also the mastermind of the LA Lakers. He was there when the Golden State Warriors drafted for Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and got Draymond Green in a steal. Okay, and then also he was pretty much there when they recruited the Durantula, Kevin Durant, and now Kevin Durant is with the Golden State Warriors. So the Golden State Warriors look very impressive, and they're going to be an opponent for the next several years. It's going to be a long time. It's going to be a long minute for Golden State Warrior fans to suffer. Okay, now when you look at Jerry West's imprint and input with the Lakers, okay, he was there when they got Shaq in free agency and they drafted Kobe Bean Bryant, and then the rest was history. So if you look at Jerry West's track record, it's very impressive. Okay, and one would assume that he's going to do that same magic with the LA Lakers. Now, with the LA Clippers, excuse me. Now, having Jerry West, that's an attractive piece to the organization. So 9 times out of 10, they're not going to necessarily not sign Chris Paul. Jerry West knows Chris Paul is very important to the Clippers organization. In a nutshell, on a side note, really, Chris Paul is not leaving the LA market. He's not leaving that LA lifestyle. His family seems to enjoy living in LA, okay? And $200 million, that's a lot of money. That's nothing to sneeze about, okay? That's going to be Chris Paul's biggest contract, okay? So he's not going to leave all that money on the table to take a chance with the Spurs, 50 million less, and pretty much you're going to get the same results, okay, as far as beating the Golden State Warriors, okay? Now, as far as Griffin, to me, Blake Griffin, to me, he's going to find a rude awakening. He, out of those two individuals, really wants to leave Los Angeles Clippers, okay? He feels like he lost his identity there. Plus, he has some baggage with the Clippers. He got into, remember last year, well, this year, no, it was last year, he got into a fight with the trainer, and he got injured, and he missed most of the playoff run. He kind of wants that bad taste out of his mouth. He kind of wants to leave Los Angeles. So out of the two, one would assume that he would probably want, Blake Griffin would probably want to leave. But the problem with Blake Griffin is, when you look at his resume, when you look at his career and his production, it doesn't equate to signing him to a huge contract. He's been injury prone. His game really hasn't progressed. You know, he's still the same Blake Griffin when they drafted him. And when I mean them, the Clippers, he really hasn't added any nuances to his game. So you're pretty much stuck with a player that's, you know, his most claim to fame is being a power dunker, okay? On the defensive end, his defensive game is questionable. His jump shooting game, I have seen flashes here and there, but it's not nothing current that he can always go into that bag and depend on, okay? So you got that going on with Blake Griffin, okay? Now, like I said, he's gonna have a rude awakening. I think teams are willing to give him a contract, but he's not gonna make as much as he's going to make with the Clippers. They're not even going to give him the whole bank. They're not going to give Blake Griffin the bag, because a lot of GMs are going to tell Blake Griffin, yo, we'll offer you this, but at the end of the day, I mean, you're kind of injury prone. You're not very dependable. Your game hasn't necessarily progressed at the level that it should be. So basically, you're going to be a huge problem pegging you into our roster and into our style of play. And we're probably going to have to dilute some of our style of play to fit your style. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? So you got that going on. Now, maybe the Oklahoma City Thunder, they may have interest with him because Blake Griffin is from that area. But I think it's more of the area interested in Griffin than the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think the Oklahoma City Thunder is going to stand pat, and they're just going to add some few pieces here and there to bolster up the roster as well as their bench, okay? So you got that going on as well. So I think ultimately both of these guys are going to re-sign with the Clippers. Now, Jerry West, how his input, how he's going to make this team better than what it was last year, okay? As far as the draft go, they're not at a high enough spot where you can get picks that can ultimately just change your roster, okay? And when you look at free agency, yes, free agency is a possibility, but they don't have enough cap room to get those free agent, those big time superstar free agents like a Paul George. Okay, now they can do the same thing, pretty much what Cleveland's going to do, and Cleveland is hoping and praying that the New York Knicks would let go of Carmelo Anthony. That's the only way they're going to let go of Carmelo Anthony. All right. They're hoping for the New York Knicks to say, you know what, Carmelo Anthony is really not that valuable to us. We can pretty much let him go, offer him a buyout, and that's what the Clippers are banking on. Now, I think the Clipper players are interested in that notion. Doc Rivers may be interested in that. But when you look at Jerry West, do you think Jerry West wants Carmelo Anthony? He's an ISO player, and you pretty much got two ISO players in the low post game with DeAndre Jordan as well as Blake Griffin. You got that to worry about, and how to adjust their style to what you're trying to do on the offensive side of things. All right, so why are we going to add another ball dominant player? And you know, Carmelo Anthony would love to go to the Clippers because of the Los Angeles market. He lives in Los Angeles, so it kind of makes perfect sense. That's a marriage that can work, but however, it can only work for the players and the fans. Not so much with Jerry West. I don't really think Jerry West wants any parts of Carmelo Anthony. All right. Now, the rule of thumb is Carmelo Anthony could just go to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Okay. I think that's a good place for Carmelo Anthony. Reuniting with his good buddy LeBron James. And when you're dealing with the Cleveland Cavaliers organization, they're not going to push and say, well, now this ain't going to work. You know, we already got Kyrie Irving. He's an ISO player. LeBron, you're an ISO player. Okay, adding Carmelo Anthony is only going to make our problems worse. We really need to add other pieces other than Carmelo Anthony. But since LeBron has say-so in that organization, he pretty much runs that organization. There's a stronger possibility and a likelihood that if the Knicks release Carmelo Anthony, the first destination he's going to is Cleveland, the lane. All right. Now, as far as the LA Clippers and Jerry West, I think Jerry West is just going to go into this summer free agent and sign the right players. Okay. JJ Redick, he's been playing with the Clippers, and he's been in and out of the lineup. I don't think that's a match made in heaven. They wouldn't mind getting JJ Redick back, but they wouldn't mind getting him back on the cheap. Okay, and I think JJ Redick sees some type of potential and some type of value in him. A lot of organizations are going to want JJ Redick. Okay. If he's going to go for the cheap, he'd rather just go to the Golden State Warriors, maybe play 1 or 2 minutes a game, maybe 5 minutes a game, and help them on the bench. Okay, if he wants to go for the cheap, he's going to basically go for the high value dollar. So don't be surprised if JJ Redick signs to a team that's got a huge payroll that wouldn't mind spending and splurging on JJ Redick. Okay, so I feel like JJ Redick is out the door. Okay, but I still feel at the end of the day, when you look at what's around in their landscape, who could they sign, and are these pieces are going to be enough for the Golden State Warriors? Now, a lot of GMs in the NBA has pretty much given up on trying to add pieces to combat what's going on with that huge juggernaut of the Golden State Warriors. A lot of people just saying, okay, let's just pause. Let's just give it up for them. We'll just wait it out until 1 or 2 things happen. Some type of big time injury that affects that particular player with the Golden State Warriors, or the Golden State Warrior players get a slight case of massage ego problem, where an individual like Klay Thomas says, you know what, I want to take my talent to another organization because I think I'm the real reason why the Golden State Warriors are where they are at today. Okay, one of those type of scenarios may happen with the Golden State Warriors. So a lot of GMs are pausing and waiting on the day to come where that could happen. Okay, now, when you're talking about how this applies to the LA Clippers, I feel like the LA Clippers are just going to make their team better and not try to add pieces to be like the Golden State Warriors, trying to steal the style from the Golden State Warriors. I think they know they need to put players in position that already, what makes this team work and what makes this team good is DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin. There are ISO players in the low post, so you have to feed them the ball, okay? That's why you're going to need a point guard such as Chris Paul, okay? So now what you're talking about is who's going to be out there that's going to be primarily pretty much open when you have to double team either of those players, and you're going to need a taller guard. You're going to need a guard or a forward similar that has the same style similar to Paul George. Now, you know you're not going to get Paul George, all right? And if you do get Paul George, he's going to be a rental, and I feel like Paul George has impressions and aspirations of being an LA Laker, okay? So you're going to have to find wingmen that are 6'5" or 6'7" and up that has a perimeter game, that has perimeter defense, that can move the ball up and down and work without the ball, okay? So they're going to be in the market for those type of players, all right? And when you look at the landscape of free agency, I really don't see a lot of players fitting that mold other than Paul George. And Paul George is not necessarily a free agent. He still has one more year with the Indiana Pacers. So I feel like at the end of the day, when you look at what they're going to have to do, they're probably going to have to make, their best route would be trying to fit or trying to find players on the cheap for free agency, okay? That's what I feel what they're going to do at the end of the day. But, you know, we're going to have to wait and see the magic of Jerry West, what he can possibly do. You know, maybe if the Lakers are, you know, really wanting to get rid of Luol Deng, that's an intriguing piece that you can add to your roster. Now, Luol Deng, he's not, you know, that explosive on the offensive end, but the things that what makes Luol Deng important to me is your interior defense. He's a decent defender, and he's iffy on his jump shot, but he can also move without the ball. He's not a ball dominant player, okay? And you can probably get Luol Deng for, you know, basically nothing. You probably will offer the Lakers a couple of low-level picks, and they would be intrigued to pick him up because basically they just want to get rid of Luol Deng's contract, okay? So that's one trade you can possibly do, all right? Another trade is Patrick Beverley. I feel like Patrick Beverley is a good perimeter defender. Now, he plays the point, and sometimes he plays the two guard in Houston. But the problem with Patrick Beverley is the Houston Rockets are going to want more for Patrick Beverley, okay? So Patrick Beverley is, you know, it's going to be hard to get Patrick Beverley onto your roster, all right? I feel like the Clippers should focus more on their perimeter defensive game, their low post offense, what the things that they did good 4 or 5 years ago. I think they need to continue to do that. Yes, they won't be able to score 110 points. They can't compete with the Golden State Warriors on a point level, but they probably could compete with the Golden State Warriors on the other side of the court, which is defense. Okay, now remember Joe Dumars on First Take basically said, and I had the same impression, that there's no way that there's a team out there that can add pieces that can sort of compete with the Golden State Warriors on an offensive level. And that's the problems that affect LeBron James and Cleveland. They thought they can outscore the Golden State Warriors. That's not going to happen. You're basically going to have to stay in your lane and stick to the things that you're good at, okay? And I feel like the LA Clippers, they're ball dominant. They like to do the alley-oops. They like to throw the ball up in the air and grab the ball from the sky and dunk it. They're good on that offensive level. Sometimes I feel like they should incorporate an offensive structure more when they got the ball, instead of looking for those particular type passes, and have players that are long enough and tall enough to not only on the offensive end may help you on certain runs, as far as jumpers or being athletic, but on the other end, that's where the LA Clippers are going to pretty much be dominating in, because you got two power forwards. You got two big guys like Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan. You got that down low that you're going to have to contend and deal with. But then if you got these defender wing players, as defenders, then it makes players such as Kevin Durant, they have to work so much more on the offensive side, moving through screens and picks and things of that nature. That may be a problem for the Golden State Warriors. At the end of the day, I feel like these teams in the NBA, you can't outscore the Golden State Warriors. Your mentality should be make them work on the offensive end and make their lives a living nightmare on the defensive end. If you got a powered forward, a traditional center and a powered forward, you're going to dominate the rebounds, okay? The only way you're not going to get the rebound if they put the ball in, okay? But if you slow the game down and make it a possession game, you may have a chance of beating the Golden State Warriors. That's the only way you're going to beat them. That's the only formula that can work in next year's season of the NBA. There's no way on earth there's a team out there right now that's currently constructed that can outscore the Golden State Warriors. That's not going to happen. All right, everyone needs to focus on the things that they do, that they're good at. All right, so let's recap. As far as the Los Angeles Lakers go, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, they're going to stay. I'm sorry, not DeAndre Jordan. Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, they're going to stay with the Los Angeles Clippers organization. They realize that they can make the most money with the Clippers, and they're not, as far as Chris Paul goes, he's not going to venture out to any other teams. He's going to make $200 million with the Clippers. He loves the environment in Los Angeles. And in the back of his mind, he knows that if he goes to another team, just because they sign him, they need to add other pieces to make the team better if they want to contend with the Golden State Warriors. So he's going to pretty much stay in pack with the LA Clippers. Not to mention Jerry West is an executive of theirs, okay? And as far as Blake Griffin go, he too is going to stay with the Lakers. The Lakers are going to offer him the most dollars, the most bucks, all right? So there's really no need for him to venture out to any other teams, because to me, he's going to have a huge problem adjusting to their style of play. And you know, Blake Griffin's style fits with what the LA Clippers are doing, okay? Not only that, he's injury prone, All right. So a lot of teams are going to look at him and go, yo, we don't mind you coming here, but we're not going to give you everything in the bank just to have you here. Okay. The NBA landscape has changed. You really don't necessarily need a power forward or a center to flourish to be successful, i.e. go look at the Golden State Warriors and from a certain extent, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Okay, so that's what's basically going on with these two individuals. There's really nothing much to say. At the end of the day, these two guys are going to pretty much stay packed. They're going to pretty much stay with the Los Angeles Clippers, because the Los Angeles Clippers have more to offer these two individuals than these two individuals venturing out. I think the only team that may pay, well definitely going to pay Chris Paul the max and has the most money to pay Chris Paul the max is the San Antonio Spurs. A lot of people are suggesting that, well, he'll go to LeBron. If he goes to Cleveland, he's going to take the minimum, and I just don't think Chris Paul is entertaining that notion. Okay, he wants a ring, but he really doesn't want a ring that bad. And just because he signs to Cleveland, that still isn't enough to beat the Golden State Warriors. And you're going to add more problems, because he's going to play point. What you going to do with Kyrie? He's going to play two. You know, they're going to be small in the guard spot, and a lot of those larger guards are going to take advantage of that, and you're going to be a little bit slower on the point as well. Okay, so I don't even see him going to Cleveland. The best case scenario for Chris Paul is for him to just stay pat and just stay with the Clippers, sign your 200 extension, and hope Jerry West works his magic. As far as Blake Griffin goes, he too is going to stay pat, but for different reasons. I don't think a lot of NBA organizations are going to entertain the notion of having him, you know, paying him a lot of money just to have him. And still, you're going to have to add more pieces, not only to make your team better, but also, you know, the things that Blake Griffin struggle at. You're going to need players to fill those needs and those struggles that he has issues with. Okay, so you know, they're both gonna stay, and they're just gonna have to hope and pray Jerry West works his magic. Okay, but guys, tell me what you think. I appreciate everyone that came to the live stream. Unfortunately, I did not advertise this. That's why it wasn't a lot of people, but I know how you guys operate. I know how you guys work. You guys look at the re-air of this once it goes public and once it gets downloaded. But guys, tell me what you think. Rate, comment, subscribe. Notification gang in the building. Please hit that notification icon, that notification bell, so it'll let you know when my next video or live stream is going down. It's your boy, I'm Chris the Don One, and I am you.